Oh my god. Greetings, Wanderer. This is Atlas here, and welcome to the Void. Today I'm going to be reacting and breaking down a song called Lealí del Principio from Baten Kaitos Origins. This is one of the coffee personal requests that I had scheduled for this month, and this one comes once again from the mighty Sir Paradigm once more. And the comment says, "Greetings, Atlas. This one may seem out of left field, but I was hoping you would cover Lealí del Principio from Baten Kaitos Origins. I'll be honest, I know next to nothing about this game. I just stumbled across this track some years back and I really liked it. It was composed by Motoi Sakuraba of Dark Souls fame. The lyrics were written by his wife before being transcribed into Italian, and it was sung by his then 9-year-old daughter. So it's a pretty special track in a lot of ways. I hope you enjoy it." Well, thank you very much, Sir Paradigm, for your fantastic, incredible support, continuous support, I should say. Okay. So yeah, I'm probably in the same boat as you. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously you heard the song already, but I don't know absolutely anything about this video game or whatsoever, right? But of course, I'm really looking forward to it. Okay. So this was like a family endeavor, as I can see. Father, mother, and daughter. Apologies. Okay, that seems like a cool thing, and the lyrics are in Italian, so that's going to be interesting. Maybe I can find the lyrics and break down the lyrics too, right? So I'm really looking forward to it. But before we begin, I would like to invite you to listen to my latest track, which is a BERSERK inspired track called Conceived in Blood, which is actually the song that you have been listening in the background of the intro of this video. So if you like what you hear so far and you would like to hear the full song, I'm gonna leave it in this card right here, but also in the description of this video, right? And with that being said, onward. Okay, so this is going to be Lealí del Principio from Baten Kaitos Origins. Original soundtrack. Where is the bloody soundtrack? Okay, here it is. Boom! Oh my god. Blah. My god, the chord progressions in the piano and the harp arrangements. The doubling of the vocals too. I just got goosebumps out of that transition into the brass. bum, 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 bum. The energy dynamics in this track are off the charts. That was pretty cool. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. So cool. Oh, it's fading out. Whoa. That was it, right? Yeah, there we have it. Yeah, this song is super, super powerful. I mean, it has such an incredible dynamic in the energy of the track, you know? It's very spacious. It has a lot of space. I've mentioned this before in many other breakdowns, you know, where the song is allowed to breathe, and therefore you can appreciate more the arrangements of what's going on in the track, along with the vocals and so on and so forth. But I'm going to be talking more in depth about those things, obviously, in the breakdown. So let's break it down. Alright, so for the beginning of this breakdown, I would like to say that I did find the lyrics of this track, okay? And the actual translation for the Italian title is The Wings of Principio, alright? But I am going to be talking about the lyrics at the end of the breakdown because I've been noodling around with the guitar a little bit, and doing some of the melodies and whatnot, and some of the chord progressions. So I'm gonna be doing like a very simple demonstration of what I hear and interpret from the track from that, and then we're going to move on progressively, starting with that point. All right. So I want to play a little bit of the intro and the chord progression that there is in that part, because it actually engrosses a lot of what the song is as it moves forwards. Like from the very get-go, you get very much the content and the emotional depth and the tension right from the get-go. All right, so let me play something. Okay, so as you can hear there, that's basically like very much the arpeggiated sort of melody that we hear from the beginning, and also the chord progressions in very much all the song is very similar to what we hear from the beginning, with some variations here and there, some very interesting variations actually, because it goes into sort of a more darker tones with minor chords. And minor chords, are often, I've mentioned this before, everything that is minor often has this tension built within it that is more towards the dark side of the human condition, let's say. Like feelings of sadness, or melancholy, or even darker than those ones, like hate and whatnot. Obviously, this is not about, those extreme emotions, let's say, but there's certainly these tension built within the track that it not only comes from the fact that there are minor chords in it, in the chord progressions and whatnot, and also in the melodies, but it comes from the chord progressions, the progression in between the chords. Like there are major chords too in there. So major chords are like the minor and major chords are like the yin and yang, right? It's like the something like that is the opposite, but at the same time they complement each other and they create the balance of music, let's say, something along those lines. So when you hear a minor chord, the C minor, it has that foreboding quality to it, right? It sounds darker because of this note right here. But when you play a major chord, this is E major or E, it brightens up. Oh, it sounds all bright and dandy and candy. Okay, so that's a little demonstration, very simple demonstration, but also very effective one to demonstrate you how just one tiny thing can change the whole tone and the whole emotional depth and tension of the track by itself. But at the same time, if you are just combining those two things, it creates another layer of tension because you're going back and forth in between something that sounds more ear candy like, more pleasant in terms of evoking more positive feelings, but also then you go and switch back to the other thing, to the minor chords, which are more foreboding, brooding, and go towards the dark side of the human nature. And therefore, that creates that back and forth that adds that additional layer of tension in the track. You don't know where it really. I mean, it sounds like bittersweet in a sense because you don't really know where it's really going. You kind of hear it that it's kind of sad, but you don't say it's like an entirely sad song, right? So I'm gonna show you like the basic chord progression that I hear from the beginning, and then I will show you like some of the variations that I hear in the track also. But they are very simple chords, to be honest, and for my preference, I would say I really like when music is composed with very simple things, but also you manage to make those simple things so creatively endearing and emotionally deep that it transcends the simplicity of it, if something along those lines. Okay, so let's hear the chord progression. Okay, so that's basically the chord progression that I can hear at the beginning of the song, and it's very simple. But at the same time, like I said before, the simplicity is there, but it transcends the simplicity because the arrangement is so good and it's so well composed. I suppose that's the right word to describe it, to articulate it. Apologies. So it's basically like the E minor. In minor, we already talked about the minor chords, kind of foreboding, brooding chords in minor. Then we go to a D, is a major chord. You see it changes completely. That note right there. Then it goes to another major chord, C. It's trying to lead you towards, the more positive, ear candy like. Although, I mean, minor chords are ear candy too, so I'm gonna have to look for another word to describe those. But we go to C, and then it repeats a little bit, And then for the second part, there's a variation, which is we go A minor again, D, C, and then it goes into A minor. So, you know, the order of the chords are very telling into what the song is trying to tell, or you know, the storytelling of the track. Because if it was like A minor and then D and then C minor and then A, it sounds super different, right? Because the back and forth in between the, you know, the more brooding sound and the more, you know, brighter sound of the major chord is maybe it's a little bit too much for this track. So the composer just tried to space it out, and I did talk about the space in the track, right? About letting the song breathe and have some space for the storytelling to happen. You know what I mean? So by not having, you know, like that back and forth all the time, like for example in this case it starts with a minor chord, like minor major minor major. It goes minor major major minor, and that happens at the last variation that I already talked about, right? So that actually connects very well with what we have to play again. So it's like the minor, major, major, major. This is the first repetition, or the first part. But then we have minor, major, major, minor. Okay, so those two major chords right here, this D and C, you know, they're taking their time. They are, you know, dwelling in the song and long enough to make you feel a little bit into it. You know, it doesn't take it so much away, but then it switches up with the A minor, and then you're back into the foreboding track just at the right time, you know. So you don't think that you have figured the song or something, like, oh, okay, well, it's going to be a happy song or whatever. No. Here is the minor chord again, so you're not going to be thinking that. It's going to go back and forth. So yeah, that's pretty much the chord progression, the main chord progression that I hear in the track. But you know, it has some variations. Sometimes it goes into F minor and A and B. When we actually have like the singing parts. There's different chord progression, but there was a very interesting chord progression that it happened in one of the transitions of the song, which goes from F sharp to G. Apologies, F sharp minor to G minor. That gave the song so much meanness and you know, that foreboding dark side of a track. And that particular transition just spiked the tension of the track, because they were two very massive minor chords that you can hear for a transition that's kind of, you know, building that tension of a track. So you are like, oh my god, something really bad is about to happen. But then it actually releases the tension, because it goes back to the more laid back kind of chord progressions, you know. With major chords and whatnot. I'm actually going to clip a little bit of that particular section so you know what I'm talking about. Alright, so now I'm going to talk very briefly about the melody that we hear in the vocals. I'm going to play like a little tiny bit of it, then I'm going to sort of improvise where it could go in terms of the scale and whatnot. Yeah, something along those lines. That's probably one of the main parts of the melody of the voice that we hear along the track. Obviously, it's way more complex, or not complex maybe, but it certainly has like the more variations than that, obviously. But I just wanted to show you like where it's going along in terms of the notes that are in the scale of what the singer is singing, which is as we know, the daughter of the composer. Fantastic job, I have to say, in terms of the actual articulation of the words in Italian, because I don't know if you have noticed, but it's an obvious kind of thing to hear Japanese people singing in English or other languages with a very thick accent, because it comes with the territory. It's very hard for Japanese people, Chinese people to actually have like a more neutral, quote unquote, accent when it comes to performance of Western languages. But I gotta say that it for this particular one, it was very, very good. It was like I didn't notice like so much of a thick accent for it or whatsoever. So pretty good job by her, I gotta say. All right, so now let's talk about a little bit about the lyrics, which should put the cherry on top in terms of where the storytelling of the track is going. Obviously, like, words are way more easy to grasp and understand than notes and whatnot. Maybe to a certain degree, but let's see. Okay, so the song is called The Wings of Beginning, or The Wings of Principle. And the first part of the lyric says, "With flowers in outstretched hands, I lift petals on this lake. The light in the darkness is reflected in the water, and the moons here are too." Okay, so obviously there's a lot of metaphors in here, and it's in some sense, the outstretched hands are talking about maybe a burden of some kind, right? That's sort of the first kind of conflict that we know about the song, and also obviously it is translated in the track too. It's not so much about a tragic tale at all, but it is a tale about someone that is going through something in their life. Maybe they have a burden or something very specific about the outstretched hands. But and also it's this particular story, in terms of the metaphors, is happening in the dark, right? In the darkness, the light in the darkness is reflected in the water, and the moons here are too. So it's talking about it, obviously, in the very literal sense, like the moon, reflects the light from a star, and that basically becomes like the light in the night, and that it reflects on the water and whatnot. And this person is leaving like petals on the lake, right? So the lake is reflecting the light, you could call it even the scarce light that the person is receiving from the moon, and therefore the lake is a representation of perpetrating the light also in the surface, right? And obviously the light and the darkness, we are understanding this like, the good things in life, light, the things that we as human beings aspire to, love, honor, being congruent with oneself, you know what I mean? All these desirable traits in human beings, and all, of course, the darkness that maybe not the darkness doesn't really mean probably like human traits, but probably what the person is going through, or the burden that the person has. So it's kind of grasping to that, right? To that scarce amount of light that the person has in his life, that is being reflected on this lake, which you could maybe, you know, make an analogy to something that is actually in the life of this person in this dark environment, right? It's nighttime, this is happening at night, which is, you know, like the darkness and the lack of light, so to speak. But at the same time, there is a little bit of light in the path that this person is walking. So it's like giving the respect to those precious things in life, even though we're going through a dark path or something like that. The thing is that many people would think that composing music is just about, you know, big string sections and brass and so on and so forth, right? But you have no idea how much the lyrics, what I'm trying to say is that the lyrics are such a fundamental part of what a song is, because there's actually written words, and people in general, I think, can read way more into words than notes. You know, there are two different things. So writing an engaging, writing a good lyrics, an engaging lyric that actually represents what the song is about, because this is at the forefront. Remember, this is when you have a song with lyrics, the lyrics are at the forefront of the whole thing. Obviously they're singing, so the singing and the lyrics are at the forefront of the message of what the song is trying to communicate. You know, the storytelling of the track, the identity of the track, what the track is about. And everything else is just become sort of a supporting role. You know, the piano, the harp, the string section, the brass section, everything becomes a supporting, or goes into a supporting role, let's say. So obviously, for a composer, it is extremely important, as well as the other things, to, you know, as well as making a good harp arrangement, as good as making a string section arrangement, and so on and so forth, to get the lyrics right, you know, because like I said before, they are words, and words convey way more than notes. Even though, I mean, that I'm talking in general, of course. Musicians, obviously, since they are in the industry and in the art itself, can hear an instrumental track and get a decipher and understand on a deeper level what it is about. But lyrics are words, and yes, they are metaphors, and you can interpret them a million ways, but there are still words that have metaphors that are way more let's say contained within a theme, you know. They are trying to communicate something more specifically than just notes. Notes are more sporadic, are more sort of ethereal, if you would say, but words are more concise, even if you're talking, you know, in riddles or in a metaphorical way. They're still more understandable to the general population. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's quintessential that you get the lyrics right, and I think in this particular manner it does, even though I don't really know what the song is truly about. I mean, where it takes place in the video game or whatnot, but I can say that the lyrics actually do translate what I heard on the track while I was doing the breakdown and so on and so forth. You know, there's that back and forth in between the darkness and the light. It is actually in the lyrics, like the light in the darkness is reflected in the water. And do you remember what I was talking about, the minor chords and the major chords? The major chords are the light of the track, and the minor chords are the darkness. It's the night where it takes where this track is taking place in, and the moon and the reflection of the light in the lake is the major chords. You know, the brighter side of life, the positive emotions and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give this track a very, very high golden badge. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and share it with your friend. Also, please don't forget to visit my Patreon, my Ko-fi profile, and my Ko-fi store in case you want to support my work further, and my Teespring merch shop. And of course, ex nihilo nihil fit.